Hello, good evening. You are welcome to Starr today here on Starr FM, and I am Tutuwaa Danso. Let's see the headlines for this evening. Coming up in this broadcast, prolonged industrial action by members of CTAG pushes Teacher Trainee Association to petition Parliament to immediately summon Education Minister as industrial action enters day 64.
To invite the Minister for Education as soon as possible, and I ask him for a clear way forward, and also look into how to minimize the effect the strike is having on the students, and then they should resolve it as quick as possible. I think that's the bottom line, so that the impact of the strike will not be so much on the students. Today is day 64.
Also coming up in this broadcast, peasant farmers warns of looming food crisis amid challenges with implementation of planting for food and jobs.
The extended dry spells have left thousands of acres parched up, crops stunted, and are at the brink of crop failure in several farming communities.
And Management of Social Security and National Insurance Trust, Senate, initiates legal action against some financial institutions over indebtedness and double payments.
We have taken them to court because they went back on the resolutions agreements. The agreement was that once we pay for the loan, the assets should be discharged to SNIT. They want us, because they are part of the company, they want a different value for the assets, and we dispute that. And so we've taken that to court. No, it hasn't. Again, there we've taken GT Bank to court.
And later on the campaign trail, we will build up to the NPP's manifesto launch this Sunday.
My government will provide a tax amnesty. Under my administration, there will be no taxes on digital payments. The e-levy will therefore be abolished.
That said, should Ghanaians take the promises of every politician with a pinch of salt?
We will
bring you Tutuwaa Adato's report on the elusive Danso Bridge. There are details of this and many other stories in this broadcast. Do stay.
Star News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Star 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Star 103.5 FM.
Thank you very much for staying. Remember, this bulletin is streaming on our Facebook platform at Starr FM. Now, the Teacher Trainee Association has petitioned Parliament to immediately summon the Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Osei-Educhum, to provide a clear roadmap to resolve the impasse with the members of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG. Now, academic and administrative activities over the past 64 days have come to a complete halt, leaving the future of academics calendar uncertain. An interlocutory injunction filed by the National Labour Commission to compel members of CTAG to call off their strike has been adjourned indefinitely. Members of CTAG say until the government implements the arbitration award by the Labour Commission in May 2023, they will not bow down their demands. The Teacher Trainee Association has petitioned Parliament to intervene. Let's go over the phone lines and engage the president of the Teacher Trainee Association of Ghana, Swale Razak. And he joins me now over the phone lines. Thank you very much for your time this evening, Razak. Now, what necessitated your move to petition Parliament?
Hello?
Razak, if you can hear me, I am asking that what pushed you to petition Parliament?
Could you come again? I can barely hear you.
I am asking, is it okay now?
Hello?
Razak, can you hear me?
Yes, okay.
Great. I'm asking what move pushed you to petition Parliament?
Hello?
Hello, Razak.
Yes.
I am asking that what made you petition Parliament about this development?
Yes, if you can hear me right. Yes, we had to petition Parliament to intervene because of the long nature of the issue. It has been 65 days now since the strike has been in action, and we've not received any good news in sight as to whether the strike will be called off in any moment from now. That is why we are seeking on all stakeholders of government to intervene and then resolve the issue for us as soon as possible.
And what exactly do you expect Parliament to do?
Could you come again?
I'm asking what exactly you expect Parliament to do.
Yes, we have written to Parliament to invite the Minister for Education and also invite most of the direct stakeholders that are involved for finding solutions to this strike action for this impasse so that they can help resolve it and also ensure that the interest of students is paramount in discussion.
Right. Now, do you have full confidence in Parliament that they will resolve this impasse?
Yes, we are only seeking Parliament to intervene in the matter because the matter seems to have been delaying, and then the impact has been very severe on students across all our 46 campuses.
Right. Now, the last time we spoke, you said activities on campuses had grounded to a halt. What is the current situation now, especially with the level 400 students?
Hello?
Razak, can you hear me?
Yeah, network is quite breaking here. So, if I can hear you, asking of the impact the strike is having on
Exactly.
level
I'm asking what is going on campus at the moment, especially
Yes,
with regards to
currently
level 400 students.
are still outside the campuses, expecting that our teachers will be back for academic work to begin so that we can finish the semester. My level 400 students are scheduled to complete the entire semester in college education on September 7th, but we fear that would not happen because as we talk now, our teachers are still on strike, and it's left barely a month for us to complete the semester. From now to 7th September is barely a matter of 3 weeks, and then our teachers are still on strike. That's why we are seeking the intervention of all stakeholders and all government agencies to intervene so that we'll be able to meet those timelines.
Now, when you asked for the closure of the schools, what was the feedback that you got?
Yes, we wrote to PRINCOP seeking them to take immediate steps to ensure that the closure of the colleges is done. We've gotten assurances from them that they are going to sit with the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission and then the Ministry of Education to ensure that they do that. But we are yet to receive an official response from them.
Now, since you have reposed full confidence in Parliament, have you attached timelines to their mode of intervention for you?
No, not at all, because currently we are aware Parliament is even currently on recess, and then we are seeking for their intervention so that, but it is with agency we are written to them.
Then finally, if Parliament fails to intervene or if they are unable to intervene to your satisfaction, what is going to be your next line of action?
Yes, we would sit because we are a team. We operate as a team. We would sit and then devise the next line of action appropriately.
Right, Razak, thank you very much for your time this evening. Razak Swale is the president of the Trainee Teachers Association of Ghana. He's been speaking to me about their petition to Parliament, asking Parliament to intervene because it's been 64 days already and academic activities have grounded to a complete halt. Students are frustrated. There isn't any response coming from the government, and so they are pretty much unsure as to what to do at the moment. They've also called for the closure of the colleges of education, but that hasn't materialized either. As Razak told me earlier, Prinkov is still engaging the relevant stakeholders to take a decision on the back of that. And so, as and when that happens, we will bring you more on that developments. Let's go over the phone lines now and engage the deputy ranking member on the Education Committee and MP for Busa South, Dr. Clement Apak. Doc, thank you very much for your time. So, the Trainee Association of Ghana is petitioning Parliament for an intervention in this impasse between SITAG and the government. What is your reaction to this?
Well, I think their course of action is justified and it's in the right direction. I say so because they have been in school since the 14th of June to date without the benefit of having their tutors or lecturers tutoring them. And so, given how protracted this strike has become, and the position taken by the CTAC, rightly so, demanding that government meets its obligations to them as per the arbitration award granted them. Government is the sole entity which has the capacity to bring this issue to a resolution. So with all that has gone on, including the initial invitation of the Ministers for Education and Labor to Parliament at my behest to brief a committee of the whole, based on which a directive was given by the Speaker that the Education Committee engages the Ministry of Education, CTAC, and GTEC towards the resolution of the matter. Subsequently, the minister informed us that he was going to engage GTEC, CTAC, and Prinkov. And so we then had to suspend our plans to meet these entities with the hope of putting in our maximum effort to secure a resolution. So as we speak now, though the government through the minister admits that the lectures of the colleges of education indeed merit the content of that arbitration award, we are yet to see government make a move that will convince the lecturers that government is willing to walk the talk. So in the context of the current stalemate, where the strike has lingered on for over 60 days, you cannot fault the students for calling on the Speaker of Parliament and their representatives, members of Parliament, to step in and do our best in terms of either compelling or cajoling government to do the needful so that the issue can be resolved. But even as we speak, the semester is going to end early next month. So what is really the justification for government which is failing to meet its obligations, which clearly is the reason why the strike is still ongoing, refusing to close down the colleges of education so that the students can go home? At least this would provide them with the needed security and also to allow them to be away from campus where they have been spending money day in and day out without the benefit of any tutoring. So I think that their course of action is justified. But if this matter is going to be resolved, government must do the needful by meeting its obligations as far as the colleges of education lecturers are concerned.
Right, but have you also received a petition from the Trainee Association?
Well, I have seen a copy. But you should know that the Trainee Teachers Association has petitioned the Speaker. And so this time around, it is not just a matter that I, Dr. Clement Apak, have had to raise on the floor, which has warranted, the Speaker to give directives about engaging the ministers. Now they are petitioning the Speaker himself, and I think that is the right thing to do. So we can all wait to see what action the Speaker is going to take. And I believe the Speaker will take the needed action in the public interest, in the interest of Ghana, and in the interest of the students.
Right. Now, as you rightly indicated, it's been 65 days actually since academic activities grounded to a halt in these colleges of education. Are we getting the assurance that Parliament will treat this issue with the urgency that it deserves?
Well, I surely hope so, because I have been doing my bit. But I think that in the meantime, I will repeat the call that I have made, that government should close down the 46 public colleges of education. There is really no justification in keeping the schools open when there is no teaching and learning going on, when there is no indication that the issue will be resolved even within the next 2 weeks. So what is really the justification of keeping the colleges of education open and having the students be on campus? In fact, many of them have already deserted campus anyway. But formally, I think the time has come for government to bite the bullet, close down the colleges of education, meet the obligations to the lecturers of the colleges of education. And if you do that, the lecturers are willing to sit down with government and sit with VTech and sit with the principals of the colleges of education to look at how they re-engineer the time left to make up for the academic semester that has been lost, so that it doesn't impact negatively on the future of the students, particularly those who should be preparing to graduate this year.
But I am just interested in finding out, do you think SETAG is demanding too much from the government, reason for which government fails to want to do its part of the bidding of the arbitration?
But I don't think SETAG is demanding too much, because if you have followed developments and you have followed the public commentary by leadership of SETAG and even government concedes. But government itself, through the minister, after the meeting that he held with SETAG, with Prinkov, and with GTEC, had put in place what it calls a monitoring team. And the monitoring team is supposed to work with all parties and be reporting to all parties about the various stages and the needed actions being taken for the resolution of the impasse. Now, sources within SETAG indicate that SETAG has been in the dark about exactly what is going on with regards to the quote-unquote assignment given to the monitoring committee. And so, when government fails to be truthful and legitimately transparent in a matter of this nature, you cannot fault SETAG for being suspicious of government's intentions. Because remember, the members of SETAG went on a strike last year on the same issue. But it took the intervention of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, myself and my colleague leaders, to persuade them to come back, which they did. So you would have thought that having been able to persuade them to rescind their decision and to have come back to teach, government should have taken that opportunity. This is a year ago to have resolved all outstanding matters. But government obviously did not. And so government's conduct has given SETAG reason to be suspicious that should they call off the current strike, government would not meet its obligations to them as was the case a year ago. So I don't think that we should fault SETAG. What we ought to be doing is to call out government and ask government to meet its obligations to SETAG. And if government does that, I think that the issue will be resolved in the shortest possible time.
Right. You have also monitored or observed the posture of government in all of this. Is it likely that they will really perform their part of the arbitration to SETAG?
Well, I should hope so. Because if they don't, the Ghanaian public surely should be holding the government accountable. Because we decided as a nation that we were going to convert our then training colleges, which were then diploma awarding institutions, into colleges of education and then make them degree awarding institutions. And as part of that, there was a roadmap which clearly laid out the modalities and the processes by which we were going to transition from diploma awarding training colleges to degree awarding colleges of education. Now, the colleges of education have been functioning as degree awarding institutions for the past 5 to 6 years. So for government to have sat aloof, to allow all of this to come to a head over this number of years, to me indicates that government truly was not serious about addressing this matter and then playing its role to oversee to it that the transition was completed as soon as possible. And so having the processes still hanging and government having agreed that indeed the processes ought to have been completed way before now, I think the best thing government can do is to find the resources. If it is a lack of resources, government should be transparent. And so I simply don't understand why government is dragging its feet in terms of the transitional process. What we have to do, as we have all agreed, is to transition them onto the same pay, emoluments, and designation structure like the traditional universities. And why is that an issue? Transition them and then pay them their outstanding allowances and they will go back to work. But when you are not forthcoming, even after you claim to have put in place a monitoring team, I mean, you cannot blame them for being suspicious of your intentions. So the onus falls on government, and Ghanaians must collectively hold government accountable because we put government in power, we give them our resources for our well-being and to address our challenges and our needs. And this is a very important need. Make no mistake, as we speak, there are many, many schools across this country, my own constituency included, where we are suffering an acute teacher deficit. And instead of us focusing on teacher training institutions and doing what we can so that we can train and deploy more teachers to allow for us to be able to provide the needed teaching and learning for the population of this country, we simply don't seem serious in resolving this matter. And it is going to have some consequences as far as the education service delivery of this nation is concerned. So we must blame government.
I mean, the Speaker has been petitioned, and as a committee, do you have timelines to resolving this impasse between SITAG and the government?
Well, the way it works is that the Speaker has options. The Speaker can decide to refer the petition to his select committee on education. You must also remember that Parliament now has a petitions committee. So the Speaker may decide to refer it to either the petitions committee or the committee of education, or he can decide that the two committees jointly should superintend over the petition. In the meantime, the leadership of the committee has also decided to give it another shot. So we are also discussing amongst ourselves to see what we can do, if possible, as soon as possible, to bring together the feuding parties, perhaps to find out where the gridlock is, and maybe unplug that and see if the matter can be resolved even sooner than the Speaker referring the petition to us or to the petitions committee or to a joint committee on education and petitions. So yes, we are also very much worried about the current stalemate because of its impact negatively on education. And so we are having that discussion amongst ourselves, and we will see what is most feasible in the next few days.
But is it likely going to happen before the year ends?
Yes, we would want it to end as soon as possible. So yes, we will do what we can as soon as possible. And I believe the Speaker too will make his reference to either of the committees or both of the committees as soon as possible. This is a national issue. It is now bordering on a national crisis. And so as the people's representatives, I think that we are taking this matter very, very seriously.
Right. Thank you very much for speaking to us. Dr. Clement Apak is a member of parliament for the Busa South constituency and a ranking member on the Education Committee. Let's still stay on education this evening, and the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, has expressed concerns over the lack of competence among teachers in effectively using digital tools in classrooms. This is after a recent study found out that only 53% of teachers in Ghana have received any form of ICT training, a situation that has severely hampered the integration of technology into education. This deficiency has also contributed to the low levels of ICT literacy among students, with 22% possessing ICT basic skills. Now, the Deputy General Secretary for Administration and Labour Relations for NAT, Daniel Afadu, says there is the urgent need for ongoing ICT training for teachers and better equipped ICT labs across schools in Ghana. He spoke to Starr News.
In this 21st century, we are talking about artificial intelligence, we are talking about the digital technology that is ruling the world. How much is Africa taking advantage of it, and especially Ghanaians, and especially we, the teachers ourselves, who are building the human resource from the very base. In some of the secondary schools, I'm just writing a paper, and I've realized that in some of the schools, the less you say about the IC infrastructure, the better. Some of the students find it even very difficult to even boot a common computer because they don't have them in their schools. So it is important that, yes, government is investing a lot in education for this 21st century, for us to have a young people who can be globally accepted and global citizens. Then we need to build them this capacity. So we are calling on the government to ensure that our ICT labs are equipped with a lot of digital tools. The teachers themselves, how about skills training? Teachers will need constant training, and from the data we have, it is not happening.
You just heard Daniel Afadu, the Deputy General Secretary for Administration and Labour Relations for NAT. Let's do some agriculture this evening, and the peasants farmers have raised alarm on looming food crisis following poor implementation of the current government's flagship program, Planting for Food and Jobs. They add that poor implementation of the policy, high cost of inputs and low rainfall is likely to undermine farmers' efforts and worsen the country's food crisis. Due to this, Peasant Farmers Association is calling on the government to deal with the challenges of the Planting for Food and Jobs and also deploy emergency irrigation support schemes to save the remaining crops. Here is Bismarck Tete Owusu Norte, Head of Programs and Advocacy.
Issue faced by farmers all over the country, especially in the northern and middle belt, is the lack of rainfall, which has caused many crops to wilt. For centuries, the Ghanaian farmer have relied on rains to nourish our crops, cultivate various types of crops, and to sustain the food security of the country. However, this year, the rains have failed and has put us in a state which we believe is quite close to the 1983 drought, and we know how devastating that effect was. The extended dry spells have left thousands of acres parched up, crops stunted, and are at the brink of crop failure in several farming communities in the Bono East, Upper West, Northern, Northeast, parts of Volta, and Oti regions. In fact, just recently, my fellow farmers from Greater Accra and even Eastern even confirmed that even the rains have not been fair to them. The situation is quite painful, considering the hefty amount of money that was spent on the One Village, One Dam policy and the Palugu Multipurpose Dam. We all remember the famous $11.2 million that was paid for the dam for no work done. These dams would have served as an alternative source of water for our farmers in these hard times, but they currently remain pits and holes, whilst we the farmers suffer. Whilst we hope for improvement in the precipitation conditions, we wish to remind government of the emergence of climate change, of which many countries are putting in place measures to mitigate the impacts. Burkina Faso is a typical example, and we all know the kind of work that they've done regarding their irrigation systems. And Ghana cannot afford to always depend on the mercy of the nature to determine our food production. So we therefore call on government to take immediate steps to address this particular crisis. Specifically, we are making 4 appeals to government. One is the provision of emergency relief. We urge government to provide immediate water supplies, including pumping machines for farmers who are close to water bodies.
You just heard Bismarck Tete Owusu-Norte, the head of programs and advocacy of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. We are likely to speak to Bismarck for more on this development. As and when we do get that, we will have a conversation. Actually, Dr. Charles Naba, as and when we do get that conversation, we'll have that. But let's move away to other stories now. And the staff of the Electricity Company of Ghana have been urged to ensure service to their clients is satisfactory in order to build trust and also to ensure that the company's quest to raise more revenue is achieved. Making the appeal during the tour of the Customer Service Center at Aveno here in Accra, the Minister of State at the Energy Ministry, Herbert Krapper, called on the management and staff to ensure that service delivery time is reduced to the barest minimum in order to earn the trust of their clients. Musa Lansah reports.
We all know that Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh is no longer the Minister for Energy, and then Herbert Krapper has been appointed as the Minister of State in charge of that ministry. And as part of his familiarization of the various departments and units under the Ministry of Energy, he decided to visit Power Distribution Company, Electricity Company of Ghana, where he interacted with the staff. He encouraged them to make sure that the highest standard of customer service is at the heart of their business. And this was after he listened to various questions and contributions from staff of the company here at the Aveno Customer Service Center. He indicated that every aspect of their job depends on the customer, and for that reason that should be their number one priority, and that staff that exhibit the highest standard of customer care should be rewarded, and those who are not able to meet up to the standard should also be dealt with according to the laid down procedures.
The ECG needs to work harder to win back the trust of our customers. And the third one, although I've been told that within 24 to 48 hours, customer complaints are resolved, I'm reluctant to accept that. And the people on whom behalf I've come today do not believe that. The customers of ECG, on the average, don't hold the view that within hours our complaints are resolved. Admonition to ECG is that is what you should do.
Question.
You just heard Herbert Krapper, the Minister of Energy. We'll bring you the full details of that visit later in our subsequent broadcast. Let's now engage Dr. Charles Naba in our earlier reports, where we did indicate that the peasant farmers is warning of food crisis in the coming days owing to the poor implementation of government's flagship program, Planting for Food and Jobs. And joining me over the phone lines is Dr. Charles Naba, the president of the association. Thank you so much for your time this evening, Dr. Naba. Now, why are you warning of looming food crisis?
Yeah, good evening. Let me say good evening to your viewers and your colleagues there. I think there are two threatening factors that we want Ghanaians to be on the guide. One has to do with the current drought that the communities and farming communities are experiencing. These are those around the middle belt, Techiman, Nkranza, Kintampo, Ejra, Wenchi, coming down to Atabu. For the past 2 months, all these communities have not experienced any rainfalls. Those who planted their crops before the drought started, all the crops have wilted off. So there are others who plowed their plants, waiting for the rains to plant. As of now, they are still waiting. So when the rain season starts now, the major season would have gone in those areas.
When you go to the northern part of the country, they're also experiencing similar things. Majority of food crop farmers, like those who did the peanut, sorghum, maize, rice, some have plowed their farms, they couldn't plant this crop. Others have planted and the crops have all dried up because the rains are not coming. Now, we were expecting that the promises we got from the agri minister that there is a technical support coming to farming. If you can remember, when the planning for food and drug phase 2 was launched, what the minister made all of us to understand was that the only thing the farmer needed was only land, or the assassin one. Now, during the implementation, nothing is forthcoming. And we are in the 8th month. This has been the month that farmers who have started harvesting. And now that the government is actually sending out seeds for farmers, where they've already planted. The fertilizer too is not coming. The support for plowing never came. Support for expensive services never happened. So all these things, if you put together, there's no way that we should expect any increase in supply compared to previous years.
Right, Dr. Naba, are you by extension saying that government has failed with instituting the right irrigation methods for the farmers?
Yeah, that has been our campaign and our recommendation anytime we had opportunity of engaging government. If we travel across the globe, even desert, countries in desert are using irrigation to support their farming activities. Look at Libya. Look at Israel. We are importing food from Israel, which is a desert nation. What did they do? They are able to desalinate the sea water and use it for farming purposes. In Ghana, if you go across the northern part of the country, there are a lot of rivers that when it starts raining, all this water runs into the sea. Okay? And anytime government attempts to actually develop this irrigation scheme, they will do it poorly, and then about 70% of the money will remain in the pockets of the implementers. Let's take the Polgo multi-purpose dam, for instance. We have been engaging government, and then they agreed in their 2016 manifesto to construct the Polgo multi-purpose dam. The launching was done in 2019. After that, government paid a whopping amount of $11.8 million to a consultant to do mobilization. After taking the money, go to the place and see, nothing has been done. One place, one dam, no farmer is using it for any agriculture purpose. Okay? So what is happening is something that we knew about it, but we failed to address it. So our irrigation implementation is very poor.
Right.
So if you look at the total land mass area in Ghana, we have less than 5% being irrigated.
Right, Dr. Naba, so these two flagship programs, that is the One Village, One Dam policy and Planting for Food and Jobs, were instituted to boost agriculture in the country. Are you saying that these policies have been a complete failure?
If you take the One Village, One Dam, that one we all know that the dams never served the purpose for which the project was launched. So that one I don't even want to talk about it, because when the farmers hear about One Village, One Dam, the disappointment is so high. So this is the peak of their farming season. I don't want their blood pressure to increase. But the planning for food and jobs, you see, the phase 1 was facing challenges. And the former agriculture admitted, because when that one was the input subsidy, where fertilizer was subsidized for farmers, but along the line, government itself could not pay service provider for the fertilizers and the seeds that they supply. Apart from that, even the service providers they engaged started supplying low quality fertilizer and seeds. So farmers were no more interested in it. So when Brian came, we were all happy that it was going to be reviewed, because Brian said he was moving away from that to input credit, with the aggregators playing the lead, allowing the private sector to mobilize more resources to support farmers to produce with zero interest. So we're all happy. But when it came to implementation, Brian is not doing anything different from what Akoto was doing. Because the only thing he's also doing is fertilizer. And the fertilizer, the quality is not there. The timing is poor. They have over-politicized the whole thing, giving the fertilizer to MPs and then DCEs to distribute. What has MPs and DCEs got to do with distribution of fertilizer when we have directors of agri imposed. We voted for MPs to go and enact policies. We didn't vote for them to go and be distributing fertilizer. We didn't vote for the government to select DCs to be distributing fertilizer. Now these people receive fertilizers and then select their favorite and give it to them.
Right, Dr. Naba, if I understand what you're saying, does it mean that this policy has been to the benefit of a select few?
It is obvious. I'm just telling you, what role has a DC or MP got in distributing fertilizer? So they are just doing it to achieve political agenda. Okay, but our concern is that this is a taxpayer money. How can you use a taxpayer for a few people? Food has no political color. Okay? When you are going to the market to buy food, you are not looking at MPP or NDC food. So why will you give farmers money to MPs and DCE to distribute? And they are selecting only their party members and distributing to them. Okay, the main farmers are not getting it. Call any farming community. The farmers will tell you the reality and what they are going through.
Right. So since we are likely going to face imminent food crisis, what is the ultimate solution? Because you say that interventions from government haven't yielded the desired results.
You see, sometimes when this question is posed, I get more confused and I don't know what to say. Because the same government that would have provided the solution are the same people who created the problem. They are not committed to addressing the problem. We have recommended them what they need to do. So what I would have said was to support the farmers to come out of this crisis. Because it's not the making of the farmers that the rains are not coming. But government has responsibility of ensuring that we create more irrigation facilities to store the water that is coming. In terms of the drought and the fact that thousands of farms have already dried up, government need to come with emergency support for farmers. Support them with free inputs, support them with mechanization, support them with loans with zero interest so that they will be able to bounce back. Because those farmers who produce thousands of acres and all the farms are destroyed because of the drought, they don't have any money to go and continue again. The thing for them to be able to bounce back is government to come in support. That is what any other government would have done. Burkina Faso started importing different types of mechanization, equipment, tractors, power tillers, harvesters for their farmers. What are we doing for what is government doing for us? Nothing.
Have you tried reaching out to the government?
Oh, we and the government, we talk every day. Even this morning, I spoke to them.
And what has the government been telling you?
They are aware of the problem. So the only thing they'll tell they are working, there's something on the pipeline for coming. And that thing never reaches us.
Right. Dr. Charles Naba, thank you very much. He's the president of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, telling us about the fact that we are likely to experience some food crisis in the coming days or even months, owing to the poor systems instituted.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
We apologize for that interruption. Then now let's head to the quarters of the legislature. And the management of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust has revealed that it initiated legal action against some financial institutions over indebtedness and double payments. According to SNITS, they have initiated legal action against GT Bank as some 147,000 Ghana cedis double payments paid to a contractor. SNITS says some payments were made into accounts in error and have been confiscated by the banking institutions. The Public Accounts Committee also accused SNITS of procuring some verification devices without recourse to the Public Procurement Authority. Director General of SNITS, Kofi Osafo-Mafu, made these revelations before the Public Accounts Committee. Here are excerpts.
Honorable Chairman, this is a project that we commenced in 2008 and was funded by mainly debt. The debt was financed by a couple of banks, being Fidelity and Bank of Africa. The debt was taken out in 2013 in August. As a result of some operational delays that we had, and delays in completion, we were not able to complete the project on time. The bankers called in the debt. Based on our assessment, that's SNIT's analysis, the value of the assets that we had completed and the land far exceeded the value of the loan. The debt was joint and several in terms of the collateralization. And so SNIT, after signing a shareholders agreement with the other shareholders, redeemed the loan. Mr. Chairman, subsequent to that, one of the shareholders went back on the contract. And so we've proceeded to court to effect the swap of the assets. And that is where we are. But as I noted, Mr. Chairman, the value of the assets exceed the loan, and therefore it was in our interest to ensure that we exercise and pay the loan.
Mr. Chairman, SNIT spent about $29,986,367.92 to Fidelity Bank, Bank of Africa, for the syndicated loan taken by SDL. So, really, I think it looks like you have done the needful. What stated that? What makes your other party thinks that he has to send you back to court? Because I think the right thing has been done.
We have taken them to court.
You have taken them to court.
We have taken them to court because they went back on the resolutions agreements. The agreement was that once we pay for the loan, the assets should be discharged to SNIT. They want us, because they are part of the company, they want a different value for the assets, and we dispute that, and so we've taken that to court. But we are confident that we will win.
Chairman, very well. They are in court, so let's pray that we win, because we have spent a lot of money on it. Thank you very much. Auditors, are you up to date with this?
Which we are aware the matter is in court, but where it has been, we cannot confirm. But we are aware the matter is in court.
Then I think you need an update, so can you follow up? So that the next time we meet, we will also be up to date as to where they are.
All right, your next infraction is on paragraph 1909. Honorable Dr. Kisi will take that.
Chairman, this is a very straightforward one. Double payment to contractor in the sum of 147,000 Ghana cedis. Two things. Has it been returned to SNIT?
No, it hasn't. Again, there we've taken GT Bank to court, but we are very confident. What happened there was that there was a payment into an account in error. That's the First Allied Savings and Loan account at GT Bank. GT Bank was in dispute with First Allied over the payment, some amount of money, and they took possession of that cash. And we've taken legal action on that. We are also going to seek redress with the BOG, but again, we would get that resolved.
I'm rather now confused, because I was under the impression that the contractor had two accounts, one with Allied Savings and Loans, which you initially paid in October of 2018, and then a year later, payment was made to the same company at a different bank. So where lies the dispute? Because if I'm not mistaken, it's the same company, but two different banks. We made payment at one bank, and then made payment at a different bank.
The dispute, Honorable Chair, is with GT Bank, because the first payment that went to First Allied Savings into the account in error went into a First Allied account at GT Bank.
Kofi Osafo-Marfo is the Director General of the SNIT. Now, management of the Volta Lake Transport Company Limited were grilled by the committee over their inability to procure new vessels to increase its operational activities. Rose Apia Ochre is the Managing Director of the Volta Lake Transport Company Limited. Take a listen.
Point on your liabilities in terms of the non-increment Because from 2022 to 2023, you literally are not doing much in terms of improving some of these assets that you have. What are we doing?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, between 2022 and 2023, we have retrofitted some of the vessels because we are operating with old vessels, but we have made some refurbishment on those vessels. And even currently, we are in the process of acquiring 2 liquid cargo barges to be able to increase our operational capacity. And so that is what we are doing, Mr. Chairman.
Madam, I listened to you and you said that you run at a loss in this particular year because you don't charge commercial rates. You said that.
Yes, I did say that.
But that's not what is reflected in your financials. And I'll give you an example. For instance, in 2022, you made a profit of 24. Your revenue was 24. Let me even come to the total revenue. You have a total revenue of 25. And then in 2023, it increased. So it has nothing to do with whether or not you are charging commercial fees. Your problem has to do with high administrative costs. Because from 28, in terms of operating cost, it moved to 34. And then again, in terms of administrative expenses, it moved from 8 to 13. I think that's where you should be addressing the issue from. Because clearly, in terms of revenue, whether you charge commercial rates or not, you have increased your revenue. But what you haven't done well is that your expenses went up highly. So if you were to respond to this issue, I would expect you to be addressing the expenses aspect. Do you have anything to say about this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I did say that we are not charging economic rates at the ferry services. And I also said that we have put in place monitoring mechanism. And so when you compare the 2 years, 2022 and 2023, you realize that we did make some increase at the ferry stations. I have also noted your concern regarding the administrative expenses. And basically, I think what went up in 2023 was the fuel. And because on the north-south side, we increased the number of voyages. For example, in 2022, we did 6 voyages, and then in 2023, we did 16 voyages. And so when you compare that, definitely the fuel in liters will go up, and it will also affect the cost or the value as well. I agree with you that we can do something about the administrative cost, but as far as you increase your number of trips and then your number of voyages, your fuel cost and even staff cost, maintenance cost, all of them together will also increase. Thank you.
Rose Apia Ochre is the managing director for the Volta Lake Transport Company Limited, being grilled there by the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament.
Starr Today, first, fast, and credible.
You are still listening to Starr Today here on Starr FM, and I am Tutuwaa Danso. Now, the Electricity Company of Ghana says the new smart meters recently installed in homes are not cheating customers as reported by some customers. According to the power distribution company, the new meters are able to read every usage of power, and that the recent increment in tariff is also being captured by the smart meter. Some residents of Denu in the Volta region last week demonstrated against what they say is the outrageous amounts they pay for power ever since the new meters were installed. But reacting to these concerns, the Chief Executive Officer of the ECG, Dubik Muhammad, says the new meters are only reflecting the lifestyles of consumers in terms of power usage.
Smart meters. Every single thing you are doing is showing very well as to your true lifestyle and your true consumption. Then on the other side, tariffs have also increased. So it's not that ECG intentionally has put the meter out there to try to fleece its customers. We will not get anything out of that. These meters are tested by Standards Authority, by ECG itself, to make sure that they pass the quality test. Out there, randomly, Ghana Standards Authority also tests the calibration of these meters. So the truth of the matter is these are new meters done on an old meter, and possibly when the meter is so old, another funny thing how we lose revenue is that when we change the tariff, Because your meter is so old, it might not take the new tariff. So you are enjoying the old tariff. So now finally that it has caught up with you and your true lifestyle is showing. You are complaining. But the truth is, yes, we do acknowledge our inefficiencies and we are fixing it. And in the same vein, you should also acknowledge that you also have a role to play in it. So it's a shared responsibility and we need to help each other to grow in this sector.
Dubik Mahama is the managing director of ECG. Let's still stay on power-related issues this evening. And the electricity has finally been restored to the Kumasi KTR market after a 2-day blackout caused by unpaid electricity bills totaling over 2.9 million Ghana cedis. Now, the Electricity Company of Ghana disconnected power to more than 7,000 shops, administrative offices and other facilities in the market due to the outstanding debts. On August 14, 2024, the market management made a payment of 400,000 Ghana cedis to ECG and agreed to a payment plan for the remaining debt, leading to the restoration of power. Speaking to Starr News, Director in charge of market operation, Nana Poku, revealed that as of May 2024, the market owed ECG about a total of 7.5 million Ghana cedis, equivalent to 75 billion old Ghana cedis.
We had a power cut, I could say a power cut. ECG came in because we owed them. They came to take the power out from the market. The market of this size, you can't do without electricity. And so it is incumbent on management, who has the sole responsibility for collecting the bills and then paying ECG on behalf of the traders. Traders has a responsibility to pay the electricity bill. So currently we've had a very good payment plan with the ECG. They've accepted what we've given them, so that we have to make sure we collect the bills from the market, make the payments. Between now to the 16th of September, we have to be able to pay ECG 21 billion old Ghana cedis, which is 2.1 million Ghana cedis in this current day. That means we need to drive the market, we need to encourage, we need to push. Because we know it is important for the market to have electricity, we can't do anything than to make sure we get that payment done. And this is what we are saying. We are encouraging that it is not management's or we don't want to be a situation whereby we are constantly pushing the market or we are chasing people for their indebtedness. What we are asking is, let's all encourage ourselves. Let's make sure we can get these bills cleared. And once it is cleared, we will only have to deal with current bills that will come on a monthly basis. And I think with that, the market can deal with it. The other catch is that I don't want us also to come again to be discussing this issue because we've done it so much. The next phase of it is the market getting its solar power. That would help us to get this thing sorted. So that is what I can say. The call is that we have to be paying certain amounts. We have the May bill. We are using 6 days to pay the May bill. What that means it is almost 100,000 Ghana cedis every day for the next 6 days. We've done 3 days already. It means we can do it if we push ourselves. The next phase is going to be the June bill. That is 8.7 million Ghana cedis. 8.7 million Ghana cedis. That is something that we think we can also do. So we are pushing the market that we have to be able to get this thing done. It is something that we can't do away with. Once that payment is done, because you know, when you give a payment plan to ECG, it's your proposal. So when the proposal goes out, they have accepted your proposal. It means that you don't have to miss that payment. The moment you miss it, they will come and then take the power out. And that is what we are trying to avoid. So I'm encouraging the market that if we all push ourselves, we will never get this situation again because we've already done our payment. And it is important that that gets done. So I'm saying it's a plea, it's a push, it's an encouragement, and it's also a responsibility of every single trader to make sure if you owe, if there's an element of the service charge that is on your bill, please settle it and let's make sure we don't get that situation ever again in the market.
You just heard there Nana Poku, the director in charge of market operations at the KTR market. Away from power-related issues now, the Vice-Chancellor of the Accra Technical University, Professor Amevi Akakpavi, has called for a pragmatic overhaul of tertiary curriculum in the country to meet emerging trends in the technical space. Now, according to him, most graduates find themselves lacking the requisite skills needed for the ever-dynamic advanced technological labor market. He made these comments at the Tech Trends and Future Careers Conference at the university campus.
Unemployment rate in the country has seen a steady rise for some time now, with the average rate of the year 2023 at 14.7%. Governments have tried implementing policies to deal with the challenge, but it still persists. To deal with this head-on, Vice-Chancellor for the Accra Technical University, Professor Amavi Akakpovi, who spoke at an innovation conference, believes an artificial intelligence-based curriculum is the way to go.
We have realized there is a challenge in the education ecosystem globally. Actually, the development in terms of employment are so fast, and the curricula are not keeping at the same pace. What we are trying to say is that we find ourselves in the digital era where some technology have come up to a very strong extent that you cannot do away with them. However, the traditional curricula we run, even especially in STEM education, still do not cover most of these things.
On his part, Professor Ren Hermans underscored the importance of exploring cutting-edge technology in energy transition in line with climate resilience.
We are searching for opportunities to collaborate with, for instance, Accra Technical University in Ghana. And our specialty in Vasa is energy transition. So we have the biggest energy technology cluster in Nordic countries in Vasa region. There are several international companies like Wärtsilä, ABB, Hitachi, and Danfoss. And we are really utilizing, for instance, AI methods in predicting the functionality of power grids. We are developing new renewable fuels used in big diesel engines in vessels and in power stations.
Delivering the keynote address, the Mayor of Accra, Elizabeth Saki, hints on plans of making Accra a smart city to deal with issues of security, sanitation, among others, leveraging technology. The conference discussions were centered on promoting global collaboration for sustainable business growth, showcasing emergence tech, global collaboration for sustainable business growth, showcasing emergence tech and career trends.
That was a report filed by my colleague, Calvin Powell.
Starr Today, first, fast, and credible.
It is now 114 days to election 2024. You are welcome to Election Hub, and it is time to take you on the campaign trail. In exactly 114 days, in excess of 18 million Ghanaians are expected to head to the poll to elect the next president of the Republic of Ghana. The NDC launched its youth manifesto last Monday, and that has got the nation talking, as the party has announced its main manifesto, will be launched on Saturday, August 24 in Cape Coast. The governing New Patriotic Party is bracing itself for the launch of its 2024 manifesto in Takrady this Sunday. And as your 2024 election hub, trust EIB to bring you a live coverage of all action that day. But with 3 days to go, today on the campaign trail, we put a spotlight on promises of Vice President and NPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Welcome once again to the campaign trail. Let's begin the campaign trail from the Oti region. And as President Nana Akufo-Addo's second term in power nears the end, residents of Oti region are eagerly awaiting the construction of a bridge linking the regional capital, Dambai. The president promised in 2019 that the bridge will be his legacy to the people of the Oti region. Our reporter, Peter Kwao-Adata, reports that the Dambai bridge is nothing but the pipe dream.
It was a promise made by President Akufo-Addo, sparking hope and excitement among the people.
Bridge over Oti River. That company, IFRN Intol FDN, has made a proposal to the Roads and Highways Ministry, plus financing, to be able to undertake the task. The pre-feasibility has been completed. The term sheet setting out the financial terms is being examined today at the Ministry of Finance. Roads Minister is waiting for the no objection letter from Finance before they can negotiate the construction agreement, which will then be brought to Cabinet and to Parliament for parliamentary approval. The Minister for Roads and Highways has indicated to me that all things being equal and all these processes going on according to the timetable, by the fourth quarter of this year, construction of the bridge over Oti region will have begun.
That was on May 25, 2019, during a tour of the newly created Oti region. The president presented pickup vehicles to the new regional administration, hailing it as a fulfillment of his promise to the infant region. The idea of a bridge was more than just an infrastructure project. It symbolized progress, connectivity, and a brighter future for the region. Knowing this, Akufo-Addo gave a firm assurance to the people on September 10, 2021.
Oti Bridge to them. I am determined and I've made the promise and I am going to see to it that it is done. I am here. Local legacy. It is going to be my legacy for this region. Oti Bridge. Yes.
However, years have passed since that promise was made, and the Oti River remains unbridged. The promise that once stirred hope has become a lingering question in the minds of the people. Was it destined to remain just a dream?
Akufo-Addo no flood me.
Me ole 3G, me am show you. Ava come you suko fere femi. Ava kat sauce go bole da me tie me game ko de ke program de keju.
You dey say no go that die. Injury there. E bet me about crowd there. We are ji. People go for no ba be transfer.
See was no ye obi obe there. Go ba be bridge wa me. Na ye there, ye want to.
The unfulfilled promise of the Oti Bridge is more than just a missed opportunity for infrastructure. The frequent breakdowns of the Senchi Ferry, long queues of vehicles, and frustrated travelers underscore the gravity of this unkept promise.
We are not asking for it for ourselves. We are asking for it for the whole country, because the amount of food that comes from that corridor is so immense, and our economic life is also, woven around that activity. Since 1964, up till now, we haven't been able, as a country, to build a permanent landing stage.
On August 2, a young diver lost his life investigating yet another ferry engine failure. The ferry broke down again on Wednesday, August 7, leaving commuters stranded.
You call helicopter with the camp pick and go. When maybe I get that post, I go there, I go to oh. Munya butari, ebe munya butari pantuni de me person we enya ebe change.
Yes, no sir, you ombe promise no omuntu wana mom. Na entime mo o man no because uduru ha, wo hwe ni pegu ha, ene ade a ho kire bebre.
The ferry broke down once more on Sunday, August 11, disrupting movement and business activities for 5 days. This underscores the gravity of the challenges and serves as a stark reminder of the gap between promises and their fulfillment.
For how many years now since the promise for the bridge, and we haven't gotten it? But there is a solution. Give us 2 pontoons so that when one breaks down, the other will be handy and come in to help while they repair the other one. Otherwise, the traffic is also so heavy that if we have 2 on it, one going and one coming, so the passengers are not stranded. I want to. So, Peter, what do? We are just helpless in here.
For the people of Dambai, the absence of the bridge is not just an inconvenience, it's a barrier to progress. Farmers struggle to transport goods, students face difficulties reaching schools, and businesses are hindered by the lack of reliable transportation.
So we are pleading to all stakeholders that could probably make this bridge to be done for us to wake up and hear the cry of the mass.
I was working in North Town and I was transferred here. And this is the situation today. As a president, you probably have to fulfill. And since it's not fulfilled, it's a disappointment.
The Oti River continues to flow undisturbed by the promises that have come and gone.
God kept us waiting, thinking that we'll get, until we realize that 4 months through this thing, it means that promise will not come. And that is why we are getting alarmed, because every day you are not sure if you are going, you are not sure whether you can cross or you cannot cross. What kind of situation is that?
However, Karachi East MCE and former constituency chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Charles Jimfi Boateng, offers a new perspective.
The reason why it's delaying, there is a small ferry in the lake. That is the boats, that small one. They also wrote a petition that if it is a bridge, their job is going to spoil. They don't have it. Yes, they are also using that small bridge to take the passengers across the hill. And so there is a petition at the table of president. And he's also looking about that one. That is why he's delaying the work. And that is why it's delayed. If president is somebody, if he say it, he's doing it. He said he will do free education, he has done it.
People cannot stop everything that everybody.
A petition is a petition. That is why we have lawyers in this country. So they need to look at it and see and get the state attorney to advise them and know what to do. That is why it's delaying the bridge.
And the Okada crack, they are saying that this bridge can also get this way. Then the boat will say no.
I don't think the Okada people are saying bridge, they will get it. They are even petition is part of these people. They are also saying as soon as the pontoon will land or the boat will land, they get the load. But if it is bridge, the car will just pass. That is the complaint that Okada people are giving to us. So it's a very big challenge for us, and the government also think about it. If not that, as for the president, he's somebody, he said one is.
The people of Dambai continue to wait, their hopes tied to a bridge that may never be built. Yet, in their hearts, the dream remains alive, fueled by the belief that this promise will be fulfilled one day. As the elections approach, the people of Dambai will watch, listen, and hope. Kratchi East NDC parliamentary candidate Nelson Kofi Jabab shares his thoughts.
I will not come and promise you heaven when I know that I cannot even go to hell. So we are assuring the good people of Kratchi East that if Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Bawumia are not able to deliver their promise, they should trust us. They should give us the power, and John Mahama will deliver. Nelson will deliver.
Will this be when the dream of a bridge is finally realized, or will it remain just another broken promise? This is Peter Kwao Adato's report for GH1 News.
That was my colleague Peter Kwao Adato's report there on campaign promises. Let's all stay on campaign promises, and the New Patriotic Party will be launching its 2024 manifesto in 3 days. The NPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has taken a break from the campaign trail in order to prepare for the event. Now, the question on everybody's mind is whether the promises outlined in the manifesto will resonate with the voters. To give us a glimpse of what we can expect, my colleague Musa Lansa, who has been closely following Dr. Bawumia's campaign, provides a preview of the upcoming manifesto.
When we say we want to do something, they always say it is not possible. They always say it is not possible, but it is possible.
We have a few more months to elections 2024, which is going to fall on the 7th of December. And various aspirants or various presidential candidates have been making promises. And one of them is a lead contender in these elections. That's the current vice president, who is the flag bearer of the governing NPP. He says he's coming out with bold solutions to deal with the current problems the country is facing if he's given the chance to govern when the nation goes to the polls on the 7th of December this year.
We want a president who thinks about possibilities, not impossibilities.
Well, these bold solutions, he says, will cover areas such as agriculture, education, digitalization, and the overall economy to help the Ghanaian feel a bit happier in his country.
My government will provide a tax amnesty. Under my administration, there will be no taxes on digital payments. The e-levy will therefore be abolished. I would have, therefore, no more than 50 ministers and deputy ministers.
I'm going to train 1 million youth to be able to acquire digital skills in coding, in software development.
Hey, but hold on. Are these promises not similar to what his principal challenger, that is the opposition NDC's flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, who is the former president, are these not similar to what he's promising to do for the people? Well, they look similar. Are they not?
We are committed to supporting digital startups and incubation hubs and training 1 million young Ghanaians in coding.
To reduce expenditure and cut down the ministers in government to a figure below 65. A new National Democratic Congress government, God willing, and with the votes of the sovereign people of Ghana in 2025, will repeal the E-Levy Act.
Anyway, they may be similar, but the flag bearer of the governing MPP believes that his principal challenger is pessimistic, and in resolving the current challenges the country is facing, we do not need a second-hand driver to deal with a second-hand president. You need a brand new president who can go ahead to resolve these challenges.
Former President Mahama is a former president. Let us maintain him as a former president.
So on the 18th of August, the NPP will be heading to Takoradi, where they'll be outdooring their manifesto for the 2024 elections. We just want to ask you, will these solutions proposed in the manifesto deal with the challenges the country is facing? For GH1 News, Musa Lansa reporting.
That was my colleague there, Musa Lansa. But governance expert Professor Bafo Ajimandia has described most promises by political leaders ahead of the December polls as superficial. According to him, in a bid to hoodwink the electorate, many politicians are promising things that voters want to hear instead of focusing on what is crucial for national development. He fears that some of these promises will only increase government expenditure without a corresponding impact on development. Professor Bafo Ajimandia made these remarks on Morning Star.
And I wish they can make promises that make sense, that will not overburden the economy that is already really. But they have to make it because they have to convince people what? They are afraid to promise the critical issues that need to be done because in 4 years they cannot do it. And unfortunately, we have a citizenry that is not overwhelmingly sophisticated. In the rural communities, they want to hear that you give me free school, you give me free everything. I mean, if Ghanaians have their way, everything should be free, including the clothes that you are wearing. People will appreciate that.
Yeah, we're very excited about the free electricity and free water.
Precisely. So they will promise it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this is not the first time they are promising this. I remember when the NPP was in opposition, Mahama was in power. They were referring to certain taxes as nuisance taxes. You remember?
Yes.
And promised to remove them when they came to power.
Yes.
Of course, they did remove some of them, if not all. But in the end, what did they do? They realized that they had shortchanged themselves in terms of revenue mobilization.
So some other taxes had to come.
So
and
they
replace
had to.
those ones.
Exactly. So if somebody promises, I will take off the e-levy, mind you, that in power, they will be hit with the reality. Even if they took the e-levy away, something else will come in to replace it. Because the government, as we speak, we are bankrupt, the country. And in fact, you cannot even go easily to the Eurobond as they used to do to raise funds because we have hit the ceiling. We are almost insolvent. So if you are promising things that still will take a chunk of your revenue, like making education free or making tertiary education free or first year free or whatever, it's money. Of course, you can cut the waste here and there, but I'm not sure whether cutting waste in government, if they have the courage to do it in the first place, will be able to sustain such a freebie that you want to give to young people. So, in a way, I don't blame them, because as I keep saying, the system really permits them to promise. But you and I know that we have seen these promises over the years. Most of them are not met. And even they are met at a very high cost to the country, to the economy.
Professor Bafo Ajimandia is a governance expert. Now, still on election promises, amidst the heavy campaign season, the Institute for Fiscal Studies is urging political actors to prioritize prudence over power in their policy choices. Here is research fellow Leslie Mensah, who warns the country is still at the brink of returning to its dark economic times.
As you campaign, for power in 2024, be mindful of the economic backdrop. Be mindful of the precariousness of the situation. Be mindful of the crisis that we can still see in our rearview mirror. And choose prudence over populism, as you engage the voter. For the government, we're directly cautioning against a fiscal slippage in the manner that we have observed in election years during the Fourth Republic. The record on fiscal management in election years during the Fourth Republic is that the size of borrowing by the government in election years during the Fourth Republic has been on average close to 50% larger than the size of borrowing in non-election years. So in election years during the Fourth Republic, we tend to borrow close to 50% more than we typically do in a non-election year. We're saying that this time must be different, given in particular the economic backdrop and the crisis from which we're still trying to recover. Because if we have a repeat of what we have seen historically, that would be very catastrophic. That would be very catastrophic.
Leslie Mensah is a research fellow with the Institute of Fiscal Studies. Now, ending campaign trail tonight is an artist's involvement in political rallies capable of influencing your choice of a political leader. Then artists performing at these events offer more than just entertainment if they wield considerable influence that can reshape public opinion and energize voter bases. This powerful intersection of an art and politics often raises complex questions about authenticity and commercial motives as the line between genuine support and strategic endorsement becomes increasingly blurred. Star News explores the significant impact of these performances on the general public.
Artists performing at political campaign rallies arguably amplify messages and shape public opinion in ways traditional campaigning might not achieve. When a well-known musician or actor performs, they bring a dedicated fan base and a compelling platform that can dramatically shift voter engagement and perceptions. This blend of culture and politics can invigorate supporters, validate a candidate's platform, and even polarize or mobilize opposition, making such performances a potent tool in electoral strategy and persuasion. However, while some artists have clear political leanings, their involvement in rallies often leads to debates about their integrity, blurring the lines between genuine political alignment and commercial interests. This was evident in the case of Olive the Boy at the recent NDC Youth Rally. Despite Olive the Boy's assertion that his performance was purely business, he still faced significant backlash and public scrutiny.
Well, main end of it was strictly business. I was hired to perform. Just like Meko Akavaganza go perform. Just like Biabeko after Chela go perform. So it was the same thing.
Renowned musician Ochiame Kwame contends that Ghanaians are often biased in differentiating between business and political endorsements for artists. He maintains that musicians who participate in rallies must be ready for the consequences that follow.
We have not come to understand that the artist's responsibility is to make his performance and take his money. So if an artist goes to perform on an MPP platform, it doesn't make him an MPP person. However, if he is performing and he says, vote for Nanado, then he has shifted from his professional space and gone into the political space, which is still professional, but if that is what they want to do. But once he has done that, then it will be fair for you to tag him.
Public opinion remains divided on whether such performances influence voter choice.
It's not going to affect me. A musician can't influence me because he or she is performing as a candidate.
For me, it's strictly business because the entertainment industry, they are into politics too. They are doing politics, so they work hand to hand with the politicians. And whenever they are about to do their campaign, they always use the entertainers for their campaign, which is like strategies.
When my musician, my favorite artist is performing, I think that, okay, I trust that person based on the political party the person is performing for. So it might, I wouldn't say it will, it might affect my vote.
Overall, while artists' participation in political rallies can amplify campaign messages and energize supporters, it also exposes them to potential backlash and scrutiny. This intersection of art and politics raises complex questions about authenticity and commercial motives.
Well, that is how we end Campaign Trail on Election Hub today. Remember, that on Sunday, the NPP will officially launch its manifesto in Takrady. And ahead of that, the party is gearing up for that. Remember, we'll be bringing you live updates on whatever happens on Takrady on Sunday. You are still listening to Starr today, and it's now time for sports. And Benghazi is seated with news about Ghana football and some other stuff. Benghazi, good evening.
Good evening to you, Tutuwaa. And in sports, begin from Ghana, like you said, where striker Ibrahim Osman has revealed he signed for Feyenoord on a season-long loan because the club will afford him an opportunity to grow and mature, which is football. The 19-year-old, who was officially announced today as the Feyenoord player, will play for the touch side with 38 jersey number in the Eredivisie. Ibrahim Osman will have to wait though for his work permit and of residence permit before making his debut after his move from Brighton Hove Albion to Feyenoord in the Eredivisie.
Well, for me, I'm young and I need to play, and also the style of play here. Obviously, they also play like younger players, and they have the academy setup, which promote like the academy boys to the first team. Yeah, and also for my development, it's good for me to play in Feyenoord. When speaking to the coach earlier, because obviously he knows my abilities. So for me, just use my abilities to help the team both on and off the pitch, and also even improve more on things I need to improve. I think I'm quick. I'm also skillful. Yeah, I'm direct. For me, help the team with my abilities to achieve greater things both in Europe and even the league. Hopefully to win the league will be really good for me and the team too.
What do you hope personally you can achieve?
I think the league, because I need to have my first trophy.
Do you have a...
And that's the player Ibrahim Osman, striker, who has now joined Feyenoord. Let's come back home to Ghana, where President of the GFA, Kurt Okereke, was arrived in Tutuwaa for the inauguration of the newly built T&A Park in Tutuwaa. Now, Kurt Okereke will be joined by several high-profile personalities for the opening of the stadium, which will serve as the home venue for the former Ghana Premier League champions, Mediama SC, from next season. Mediama will take on Kotoko in an exhibition match to officially open the stadium in Tutuwaa on Friday at 6 p.m. after a game involving former Black Stars player is also held at the same venue. To the last piece of news now, and it has to do with a very poor piece of news from Africa and Mali's international Yves Bissouma. Tottenham suspended Bissouma for their Premier League game against Leicester on Monday after footage appeared to show the midfielder inhaling laughing gas. Now, Spurs have made the move despite the 27-year-old apologizing for a severe lack of judgment, having posted a video of himself on social media on Saturday, which showed him inhaling from a balloon. Now, possession of nitrous oxide, also known as laughing gas, for recreational use has been a criminal offense in the UK since 2023 and can result in a 2-year prison sentence. According to the coach, Ange Postecoglou, the player knows he's done wrong and they have suspended him for the period being.
There's a person involved, and in this case it's Biss, and he's made a really poor decision. And you want to understand that, and you want to try and help him through that. He has responsibility to the club, he has responsibility to his teammates, he has responsibility to our supporters, everyone associated with the club, and he's failed in those duties, so there's got to be sanctions to that. So, he won't be available for Monday. We've suspended him for Monday's game, but beyond that, there's also some trust building that needs to happen between Biss and me and Biss and the group. And that's what he needs to work hard at from now on to try and win that back.
You said that he needs to rebuild trust with you and with the group. How does he go about doing that?
Behaviour, mate. It's quite simple. It's just him, like I said, making better choices moving forward, and behaviour. He's obviously disappointed, and he's very apologetic, not just to me, to the club, to everyone involved. But that's just the first part of the process. The next part is behaviour now, of making sure that, like I said, he does the things he needs to do to, like for all of us, if we all make mistakes.
And that's the coach for Tottenham Hotspur's, Ange Postecoglou, ending sports. But don't forget, currently La Liga is back in action. First game is on. Currently, Bilbao 1, Getafe 1. The first game of the season in La Liga in Spain. That's it for sports.
Thank you, Benghazi, for those sports updates. Let's pick some updates from the foreign fronts now. And the World Health Organization has declared a global health emergency for monkeypox after a previous declaration was made in 2022. From Congo, the virus has spread to neighboring countries such as Burundi, Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda, prompting the action from the World Health Organization. The Director General of the World Health Organization, who addressed the public, has expressed the situation as worrying, warranting the highest level of alarm under international health law. And that's how we wrap up this edition of Starr Today here on Starr FM. But before we go, we regret to inform you that the Starr Chat interview with Nana Mamak Brown, as advertised and scheduled for Thursday, October 15, 2024, that is today, will not take place due to circumstances beyond our control. We apologize to our valued audience who were eagerly looking forward to this program. Rest assured, the interview will be rescheduled for another date and we will notify you accordingly. My name is Tutuwaa Danso. Thank you so much for choosing us once again. And for more news updates, of course, do log on to starfm.com.gh. And a special thank you to my production team. Have a good evening.